Hey, you. You're finally awake.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Let's switch things up. We've been going a lot of N64 recently, but today we're going to be looking at the Master System. And I want to be looking at some of the best games, some classic games from the console. Whilst they may not necessarily be the greatest on the console, there's still ones you can go, yep, they were good classic games for the Master System. But I'm sure there's plenty I'm going to be missing here, so let me know what you think is a classic Master System game in the comments below. As always, if you really think I deserve it, please hit that like button because that helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe and the notification bell to be told when a new video comes out. We've got a weekly podcast and we've also got a $1 a month Patreon, and the link is in the description below. Right, let's get into it, shall we? Let's look at some classic Master System games. Sonic the Hedgehog. Well, let's start off with this one, shall we? Come on, we all know Sonic. But Sonic's presence cannot be understated on the console. Now, while it does share its name and a few zones with the Mega Drive masterpiece, although you could argue Sonic 1 isn't really a masterpiece, this is a completely different game built from the ground up by the team. It is a slower, tighter, and in many ways a more traditional and difficult platformer. The setup here is that Sonic is on South Island to stop Dr. Robotnik. Unlike the 16-bit version, you don't find the Chaos Emeralds in special stages, they're actually hidden inside the levels themselves. If you finish a zone without finding the emerald, you can't get the good ending. Now, the physics with the speed, they're dialed back a little bit. There are no loop-de-loops and the momentum physics are less floaty. This version requires much more precision jumping, especially in the vertical sections. Now, on the Mega Drive version, if you got hit, your rings scatter and you can grab some back. On the Master System, if you get hit, you lose all your rings instantly and only one flashing ring drops, and you can't pick it back up. One hit always leaves you with 0 rings, so it's a lot more dangerous than the Mega Drive version. Now, while it does have the Green Hill and Labyrinth Zone, it features 2 zones you won't find in the Mega Drive zone. Bridge Zone, a scenic sunset with auto-scrolling sections and collapsing bridges, and Jungle Zone, a vertical focused levels where you climb waterfalls using log platforms. Now, in this version, the third act of every zone is just the boss fight. There are no rings in the arena, which means you have to defeat Dr. Robotnik perfectly. If he touches you and gives you a little tick on the bottom, you lose a life. It turns every boss into a high-stakes duel. Between zones, you get a beautiful 8-bit map of South Island, showing Sonic's progress as he chases Dr. Robotnik towards his mountain base. Unlike those 360-degree special stages you had in Sonic on the Mega Drive, this time you enter a giant pinball-style room filled with springs and bumpers. Your goal is to reach the top within the time limit to earn extra lives and continues. Remember, the Chaos Emeralds are in the levels, not these stages. Like the Mega Drive version, the spin dash wasn't around yet, so you can't just go straight into a ball. You've got to be moving and tucking to get into that roll. And because this is a more difficult game, it's very important to get lives, and one way of doing it is the end of Act signpost can grant you some rewards. Depending on the time you finish and your ring count, the signpost might land on a 10-ring bonus or an extra life. Jungle Zone Act 2 is infamous though. It's a vertical climb where the screen scrolls up, and if you fall off the bottom of the screen, you die, even if there's solid ground down there, which is ridiculous, I know. It's one of those few insta-death scrolling hurdles in early Sonic games. Now, this was released on both the Master System and the Game Gear, but the Master System version is superior because it has a wider resolution. On the Game Gear, the screen is crunchy, meaning you often jump into enemies you can't see, and I hate playing the Game Gear versions, I really do. Sonic the Hedgehog on the Master System is not just a downgraded port of the Mega Drive version, it's a companion piece. It trades the blast processing spectacle for a tight 8-bit platforming and a hauntingly beautiful soundtrack. It's a game about exploration and caution rather than just holding right to win. Outrun. Outrun could be considered the king of the 8-bit miracle. Like trying to get the sprite scaling arcade beast to a console that literally couldn't scale sprites should have been impossible. But what Sega delivered instead was a technical masterclass that captured the blue sky vibes of the arcade perfectly within the 8-bit limits. You drive around in your red convertible with a blonde companion in the passenger seat. You've got a simple goal: reach the next checkpoint before the timer hits 0. It's a driving game more than a racing game, and the only opponent is the clock. This game has branching paths, and this is Outrun's signature. At the end of every stage, the road forks. Go left and it leads to easier, more scenic routes, and go right leads to faster, much more difficult stages with tighter turns and more traffic. Now, as you're driving, you've got a 2-speed manual transmission for low and high. You can use the low to get yourself moving, and then slam it into high when you think you're fast enough. But if you crash, you've got to drop back down to low again to regain your momentum quickly. There are 15 stages in total, but you only play 5 per run. Depending on the path you take, you can reach one of 5 unique endings, ranging from a trophy presentation to your car falling apart at the finish line. Before the race starts, a hand reaches out and turns a radio dial, and you get to choose your soundtrack: Magical Sound Shower, Passing Breeze, or Splash Wave. These 8-bit renditions are shockingly high quality and retain all the tropical breezy energy of the original. And because the Master System couldn't handle the massive arcade sprites, the car and scenery are smaller and cutesier. It gives the game a super deformed look that is actually very charming, but keeps the frame rate smooth. Despite those hardware limits, scrolling is smooth as silk for 1987. The roadside objects, palms, signs and pillars whiz by with enough fluid motion to keep the adrenaline pumping. Outrun defined the Sega Blue Sky philosophy. Even in 8-bit, the vibrant colour palette makes you feel like you're on a Mediterranean vacation rather than sitting in front of a CRT TV. The Master System version mimics super scalar tech by quickly swapping different size sprites for trees and signs. It's not a true 3D zoom, but it's an impressive fake that works remarkably well at high speeds. Now in the arcade, if you flip your car, the passengers are thrown out onto the road in comedic fashion. On the Master System though, the car just tumbles and resets. It's a bit less chaotic, but it keeps the game moving. To keep the game fast, certain large obstacles like the mountain tunnels or the lorries are missing or simplified. The focus is purely on car-to-car dodging. Outrun on the Master System is a triumph of programming over hardware. It proves that a game's soul is found in its music, its colour and its flow, rather than just the raw polygon counts. It remains one of the most playable and relaxing races on the system, a perfect 5-minute vacation every time you turn it on. Land of Illusion starring Mickey Mouse. Now, this is often overshadowed by its 16-bit cousin Castle of Illusion, but this Master System sequel is a masterpiece that many retro fans consider the single best platformer on the entire console. And I'm not gonna lie, I finished this today while having a big poo-poo, and I really enjoyed it. Not an image you probably wanted, but I'm honest on this show, and I finished it on the toilet. I beat the boss, it were great. Bloody good game. This is a bigger, smarter, and features a Metroid-like progression system that was incredibly advanced for an 8-bit Mickey game. Now, Mickey falls asleep reading a book and wakes up in a fairy tale land where the magic crystal has been stolen by an evil phantom. To get it back, he has to help the villagers like Daisy Duck, Goofy, and Donald in a journey spanning 14 massive levels. I'm not gonna lie, I have issues with the story. I know it's a Disney game, I have big issues. We'll be talking about this in the podcast, and I'll be having a rant about it. Just the story though, I like the game. Now, just like in Castle of Illusion, Mickey's primary attack is jumping and pressing the jump button again in midair to slam down on enemies with his arse. It feels weighty and satisfying, and I'm pretty sure that Disney would probably ban that now. Now, here you've got magic items, and this is the game's big twist. As you progress, you find permanent power-ups that change the way you play. The rope allows Mickey to climb vertical walls. Shrinking potion can turn Mickey into half his size to enter tiny gaps. And then you've got the magic shoes that let Mickey walk on clouds or across thin air. For the first time, you also got a non-linear map screen. Once you get a new item, you can backtrack to previous levels to find hidden secrets or extra health that are previously unreachable. The graphics are peak Master System. The colours are lush, the animations are expressive, like Mickey has an adorable idle animations where he looks around, or not as good as Sonic's obviously, and the boss sprites are really good. It looks like a late era NES game with a richer Sega colour palette. There's a great level variety in this, it's not just the forest and the cave. You'll have auto-scrolling ones, you'll have reverse-scrolling sections, sinking sandcastles, a beanstalk level that literally takes you into the clouds. I was really surprised and it actually had me thinking of Mega Man. I don't know why, but it did. Mickey starts with only 2 power stars, like the hits you can take, but there are actually 14 hidden stars in the game. While your health is capped at 5, find the rest gives you full restores and extra lives, and it turns the game into a scavenger hunt, and you're not going to have 14 hits. That's ridiculous. Come on, let's all be silly now. Now, borrowing from the Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, Mickey can pick up blocks, rocks and barrels, and he can use them to hit enemies or stack them to reach higher ledges. Tragically though, this game never came to the US on the Master System, it only arrived on the handheld Game Gear. It was primarily a PAL and Brazil release, making it a hidden gem for many Western gamers. I didn't play this on the Master System. I might have played this on other devices. I don't know how it happened, it just appeared. Now, one of the more atmospheric levels is the Castle Ruins, which uses a transparency effect achieved through flickering to create spooky ghosts. It's a great example of 8-bit programmers pushing the hardware to its limit. And if you find yourself stuck or just want to leave a level after grabbing a secret, you can use the magic flute to instantly walk back to the map screen without finishing the stage. Land of Illusion is the Super Mario Bros. 3 of the Master System. Nowhere near as good though. It took a simple jump and bop formula and added layers of depth, exploration and personality. It's a game that respects the player's intelligence, offering clever puzzles and a sense of progression that makes Mickey feel like he's actually growing stronger. Golden Axe Warrior. Let's be honest here, we all know what it is, it's Sega's version of Legend of Zelda. The setup here is that Death Adder has stolen 9 crystals from the Kingdom of Firewood and killed your parents. Bit of a bastard. You play as a young warrior who must trek across a massive overworld, conquer 9 labyrinths, and reclaim the crystals to unlock the final path to Death Adder. You explore a grid-based overworld, chop down trees, bomb walls, and collect heart containers. Basically, it's Zelda. But unlike the first Zelda, which had people hiding in caves, Golden Axe Warrior features actual towns with houses you can enter, NPCs with helpful dialogue, and shops where you can stay at the inn to save your game. Now, while you do have a sword, you can also get the battle axe. This isn't just for combat, as you can use it for clear-cutting forests and for finding hidden stairs. It gives the exploration a very different lumberjack rhythm. It's also one of the most colourful games on the system. Because the Master System had a better palette than the NES, the environments, from lush forests to blue oceans and scorching deserts, pop with vibrancy Zelda really couldn't match. And even though it's a different genre, the Golden Axe DNA is everywhere. You'll fight familiar enemies like the armoured knights and the skeletons, and you can even meet the original heroes from the first game who act as magic teachers. The movement is incredibly snappy. Once you find the speed shoes, you can zoom across the map, making backtracking much less of a chore than other 8-bit adventures. Now, instead of rupees, you collect the horns of your fallen enemies. Okay. You can carry up to 255 of them, and you're going to need them for everything from buying magic oil to playing a high-stake gambling minigame in certain houses. Now, instead of a bow or a boomerang, you rely heavily on 4 types of magic: earth, fire, thunder and water. Magic isn't just for fighting. Earth magic, for instance, can be used to break rocks and solve puzzles, which means you have to manage your magic pots carefully. The starting sword you do has a notoriously short hitbox. Combat requires a lot of poking and retreating until you can upgrade to long sword or the flame sword. One of the coolest features of 1991 is if you clear a room of enemies in a dungeon and leave, they don't instantly respawn like they do in Zelda. This makes navigating the complex labyrinth feel much fairer. Golden Axe Warrior is the ultimate tribute game. It took a legendary blueprint and polished it with a 16-bit adjacent colours and better world building. It's a dense, challenging and highly rewarding quest that proves the Master System was a powerhouse for adventure games. Shinobi. Shinobi is a slower, more deliberate action platformer that made Joe Musashi a household name. It's famous for being one of the few arcade ports that is actually friendlier than the original coin-op. The terrorist organisation Zed has kidnapped the children of the Oboro clan. You play as Joe Musashi, a master ninja who must infiltrate 5 missions to rescue the kids and defeat the rings of 5 leaders. Now, the life bar is the biggest change here. In the arcade, 1 hit meant death, but on the Master System, Joe has a health gauge. This turns the game of a frantic twitch shooter into a tactical survival game where you can afford a few misses. The levels often have 2 floors, a ground level and a balcony or roof, and you can super jump between them by pressing up and jump. Learning when to stay low and when to take the high ground is key to avoiding crossfire. Between the stages, you enter a first-person shooting gallery where you throw shurikens at waves of incoming ninjas. If you stop them all, you'll earn Ninja Magic, a screen-clearing panic button for the next level. But don't worry, you're never going to get the chance, because it's absolutely hard as balls. I tried this even with save states, and no, it's fucking ridiculous. So yeah, if you got it, you're lying to me. Now, in this version, rescuing hostages isn't just for points. Specific kids grant you permanent weapon upgrades, well, until you die. And you can swap your shurikens for a pistol or bombs. Yeah, you can have a gun, it's hilarious. And your close-range punch becomes a katana or nunchucks. The bosses are massive. From the towering Ken-O, who throw fireballs, to the bizarre Mandara, a wall of spinning statues. The Master System handles these huge sprites with surprising grace. Unlike Ninja Gaiden, which is all about speed, Shinobi is about patience. You have to wait for a guard to reload or duck behind a crate before making your move. It's a thinking man's action game. Unlike the arcade, where you can use ninja magic immediately, on the Master System you must defeat 10 enemies in a stage before your magic tile starts flashing. This prevents you from just cheesing your way through the hardest parts of a level. There is a legendary accuracy bonus glitch. If you finish a level with 0% accuracy, meaning you didn't throw a single shuriken and only use melee, the game gets confused and offers you nearly 10 million points, usually granting you about 10 extra lives instantly. To balance the addition of the health bar, Sega removed the ability to continue. You have to beat the game entirely on your starting lives. This makes the final mission, the Ninja HQ, incredibly tense. The arcade version was famous for having Marilyn Monroe posters on the walls of the first stage. While they were simplified for the 8-bit port, the Master System version keeps the pop culture vibe of the back alleys of Mission 1. Shinobi on the Master System is a masterclass in how to adapt an arcade game for those at home. It's more forgiving than the coin-op, but demands more long-term focus. It's the game that proved Joe Musashi could hold his own against Link and Mario, establishing a legacy that would eventually lead to the 16-bit masterpiece Revenge of Shinobi. What a game that was. Asterix. My god, I used to love the Asterix comics when I was a kid. While many licensed games in the 90s were cheap cash-ins, this Sega-developed gem is one of the most polished and creative platformers on the Master System. It manages to capture the humour of the French comics while delivering gameplay that rivals Super Mario Bros. The Romans have kidnapped the druid Getafix, and it's up to Asterix and Obelix to trek across Europe, from the snowy mountains of Helvetia to the pyramids of Egypt to rescue him from Rome. Pretty sure that Europe doesn't include Egypt. Whatever. Now, at the start of most levels, you can choose between Asterix or Obelix. This isn't just for cosmetic choice, as the level layouts actually change based on who you pick. Asterix is fast, small, and relies on magic potions to break blocks or create platforms. Obelix is slower and tankier, but he can smash through blocks with his bare hands or a powerful butt slam. Most levels aren't just about reaching the exit. You usually need to find a hidden key to unlock the door at the end of the stage. This encourages exploration and rewards you for poking around secret passages. After each round, you play a bonus stage featuring the dog Dogmatics. It was the first time in video game history that players could actually control the little pup. The sprites of this game are huge and incredibly expressive. Robots hide in tree stumps, wild boars scurry about, and the power effects feel like they jump straight off the pages of the artwork. The game loves variety, and one minute you're dodging swordfish in an ice world, the next you're jumping off cannons in a German fort, or clinging to seagulls on a Viking boat. The game never recycles enemy, and almost every stage has unique obstacles. It's a difficult game, but it's rarely frustrating. The game provides unlimited continues and plenty of extra lives, which is cool, making it a smooth experience compared to the brutal difficulty of Shinobi. If you play as Asterix, you can use potions that behave a bit like holy water in Castlevania. You throw a bottle and it creates a small explosion on a temporary cloud platform. The final level swaps the platforming for a high-speed chariot race in the Roman Colosseum. It's a total genre shift and serves as a climatic finale to the journey. Like Land of Illusion, this was a PAL and Brazil exclusive, and because of this, many North American gamers missed out on what is arguably a top 5 Master System title. So if you've never played or even heard of it, let me know in the comments. Actually, if you've never even heard of the cartoon or the comic, let me know in the comments. Asterix is a masterclass in 8-bit game design. It's colourful, funny, and offers massive replay value because you have to play through every level twice, once with each character, to see all the content. It's a Sega game through and through. Bright, fast, and full of personality. And finally, Deep Duck Trouble starring Donald Duck. Following in the webbed footsteps of the Lucky Dime Caper, this sequel was developed by Aspect and released late in the Master System's life. It's famous for its gorgeous pastel-coloured graphics and having one of the weirdest stories in Disney gaming history. Uncle Scrooge has been cursed by mysterious pendants and has swollen up like a giant helpless balloon. Donald must retrace Scrooge's steps across a dangerous island to return the treasure and deflate his uncle. Following the Mega Man style, you can tackle the first full stage in any order you choose. Jungle, a classic platforming starter with swinging monkeys. Inlet, a gorgeous underwater sunken ship level. Volcano, a high-stakes scramble over rising lava. Valley, a slippery frozen tundra filled with yetis. Unlike Mickey, who prefers that butt bounce, Donald can kick blocks, treasure chests, and even enemies. Kicking a block into the line of bad guys is the most efficient and satisfying way to clear the screen. Now, if Donald does find a red pepper, he enters his signature Rage mode. He becomes invincible and dashes forward at high speed, smashing through everything in his path for a few glorious seconds. The animation is incredible. Donald is the absolute star. He has unique idle animations for every environment, as he shivers in the cold valley, sags with exhaustion in the hot volcano, and immediately taps his foot if you leave him standing too long, Sonic style. Instead of traditional boss fights where you chip away at the health bar, many levels end with a frantic chase sequence. You have to outrun a giant gorilla or a shark while platforming perfectly. It's pure cinematic tension. The visuals lean heavily into the illusion style, soft pastels, detailed foregrounds, and a high level of polish that makes it look like almost a 16-bit game. There are some really cool deaths here. In the valley level, if you fall into the freezing water, Donald doesn't just lose health, he emerges encased in a giant block of ice before losing a life. It's tragic, but an hilarious cartoon touch. But because the graphics are so detailed and the sprites are so large, the Master System can occasionally struggle, leading to some frame rate drops. Ironically, many players find this helpful, it acts like a bullet time for tricky jumps. The underwater level is often cited as a highlight. Donald actually switches into diving gear for the segments. He's a fucking duck! Why does he need diving gear? He's a fucking duck! Someone's gonna go, but ducks can't go underwater. They probably don't need scuba gear. Come on now. Come on. Sorry, I know I'm just going on a tangent, but really? He's a duck. with a weird penis. I know I'm going off topic here, but have you ever seen what a duck's willy looks like? I'm not saying I've seen it in public, I've seen it in pictures. What is going on? What? Okay, we're going on a tangent. I'm sorry. But Deep Duck Trouble is a charming, breezy platformer that prioritizes vibe and character over brutal difficulty. It's a game where the challenge comes from the environment rather than the enemies. It feels like playing a lost episode of DuckTales, great game, and it remains one of the most visually impressive titles in the entire 8-bit Sega library. And that's it, some classic Master System games. As always, there's probably ones I've not talked about, so if you think there are games which you can say are typical classic Master System games, put them in the comments below. And as always, I'll see you in a few days for another video, and please, if you do like this, hit that like button because it really helps the channel grow. Until then, I'll see you all soon. My name's been Danny, take care of yourself, bye bye.